a time there was truth in journalism, where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources, all we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative hid the truth of mass suffering, injustice and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo. To expose this shift to oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Guys, I'm sorry. I did that the other day too. I'll blame it on me being tired. I'm so sorry about not unmuting. Sorry. Sorry. The messages are still coming in. There's a little bit of a delay, so hopefully that will work. I apologize. So, okay. So it's still coming in. Hopefully I'll see soon that you guys can hear me. Let me know when you can hear me, when the delay keeps up. Let me know. Aww. Oh no, still not people. Okay, people are starting to say yay, they can hear me. I apologize. So sorry. So what I said, I'll do a review of what I said, is that we had a great live stream earlier today where it was a positive, happy, fun live stream because we got to talk about Cori Bush's incredible victory. She was given very little chance to win against incumbent Lacey Clay, whose family had held that seat since the 60s. So absolutely incredible. Cori Bush, a former nurse, a pastor, formerly homeless, a single mother, out in the streets, organizing and protesting, and a real hero of the Black Lives Matter movement. And she won. She pulled off this victory. So I felt so invigorated by that victory, and I know a lot of other people did. So definitely check that video out from earlier today. I show Corey's acceptance speech and an interview that Jordan did with her about 3 years ago when she was on the ground again in St. Louis or Ferguson. I think it was St. Louis. And out there protesting, out there organizing, even when she was running 2 years ago. So that's a great interview that Jordan did when he was with the former channel that he was on. We won't say its name. And also the interview that Jordan did with her just last week. That's right, we aren't bandwagon jumpers. A lot of people now are going to try to get interviews with Corey, are going to try to pretend they were with her all this time because people want to be with a winner. But Status Coup had her on before she had her big win about a week ago, and that interview is really good and interesting, is particularly the part where Jordan asks her, you know, you're an organizer, you're a protester, but Nancy Pelosi and friends aren't going to be happy about you continuing to protest and organize. So what are you going to do about that? And basically Corey said, I'm going to keep organizing and protesting. I'm there for the people. I'm a boots on the ground type of person. So Corey's a really, really strong woman, a really strong speaker, a really inspiring story, and she made history. She will be the first Black woman in Congress from Missouri. So definite kudos to Cori Bush. Also, Rashida Talib, major victory with a huge winning margin against her challenger. So she will hold her seat in Michigan. And people were really counting her out and saying, oh, of all of the squad, you know, she is the least likely to be able to win. But Rashida Talib showed them, and she, you know, a lot of the normie Dems don't like her because she booed Hillary, and that was their big worry about her. And, you know, the K-Hive was going after her up to the election, and even today, because she booed their queen Hillary. So definitely watch that live stream. As I said, it was so much fun. But now I'm back. I did a 2-hour live stream earlier today, but I'm back. And this time I'm not back with great news. So we got to have fun earlier. We got to feel positive earlier, and we can hold on to that positivity. We can hold on to the fact that we as progressives can fight and we can win. We can have victories. We can push progressive policies. And we're gonna continue doing that. We're gonna continue winning. This is great. We had Jamal Bowman win, Cori Bush, Rashida Talib. AOC's holding her seat. Ilhan Omar's race is this coming Tuesday. And so, you know, at this point, you know, I'm really excited about certain races. I'm excited about Jen Perlman against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, for example, down in Florida. So a lot to look forward to. So even though today's, you know, this evening's news isn't, you know, warm and fuzzy, it's okay. We'll get through it. We can get through tough news together. And some of it you just have to shake your head and wonder, like, what is this world? What is this country? Continue to smash that like button so more people see this video, share it on all your social media. And I don't remember if I said this or not before I unmuted myself finally, but YouTube seems to be hiding us and is just not showing us. Right now we have 200 people watching, so continue to share, spread the word about Status Coup. Last week or so, Jordan had a live stream where he got up to 1,500 viewers, and that was something we were getting on the ground for a while in light of the George Floyd protests. But then YouTube decided to kind of like pull the, you know, we're not showing up in people's feeds now quite as much, or if at all. So we can work around that. We can work around YouTube and get the word about Status Coup out. Anyway, let me read some super chats which are coming in. I love super chats. Super chats help keep us going. They pump us up while we do the live streams, and it's invigorating, you know, when you see live streams and they, you know, your questions or your comments or, you know, whatever. It's really, really good and helpful, and I love them. And super chat stickers I love. So Dutch Bandit, $2 in the super chat, saying no audio. I'm so sorry, guys. But Dutch Bandit, even though I was a dummy and didn't turn on the audio, I appreciate your super chat. Oh no, I'm still going through all of the the no audio. I feel so bad. Kyle G, 199 in the super chat. No sound. Thanks for reporting. I apologize so much. But again, just like with the previous super chat, I thank you for leaving a super chat anyway, in spite of my incompetence. Chiratorisu, $2 in the super chat. No sound. So maybe all I have to do to get super chats is to forget to turn the sound on. No, I'm just kidding. You guys are wonderful. Marshall Galuski says, not even a text. Y'all really got to hunker down and fix things. I sent a text. If you aren't on the text list, text COUP to 370-370. Love these super chats. They're incredibly helpful. Swirly Swirl, $5 in the super chat. We still love you, Jen. Here's $5 to get a third reporter for Jordan's vacation days. Yes, we would love to have a third reporter. We would love to hire more freelance reporters. So your support really, really helps us. Thank you, Swirly Swirl. Love it. Kara Kim, $5 in the super chat. She says, I literally cried. Amazing news from St. Louis. Go Corey Bush. That I was the same way. I was in between crying happy tears and just being so elated. I couldn't sleep. It was just an incredible feeling. Really, really great. Jacqueline DeBlue, £5 in the super chat. Another $5 for that third reporter. Thank you. Nearly enough. No? Ooh, green, my favorite color. Very nice, Jacqueline. I always love your comments, and you are so, so sweet. So, good. Okay. Continue smashing that like button. But let's dive into the news. You guys might have heard this already. It wouldn't surprise me if you have, because it's definitely made the rounds in social media. So I'm talking about Joe Biden with another gaffe. Although I wouldn't even call it a gaffe. I think people call it a gaffe. You know, people in the media call his like weirdness a gaffe, when I'm no doctor, but it really looks like a cognitive decline to me. And I've spoken with people who are more in that field and would know, and it looks like cognitive decline to them. So whatever you want to call it, Joe Biden had a real weird moment. And this was also an offensive, like angry moment. He actually got angry at a reporter. So I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let me, hold on, I'm checking my sound. Let me show that to you. It's real weird, guys. Here we have it. Let me make sure here. Politico reports, Biden hits back at reporter asking if he took a cognitive test. Are you a junkie? Whoa. The former vice president, who has bristled at attacks from Trump claiming he's mentally slowing, confirmed he has not taken a cognitive test. Well, you might notice in the headline I put in Joe Biden lies. So we'll talk about that lie. Let's see exactly how this exchange went.
Opponent in this election, President Trump has made your mental state a campaign topic. And when asked in June if you'd been tested for cognitive decline, you've responded that you're constantly tested in effect because you're in situations like this on the campaign trail. But please clarify specifically, have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not. What do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say to President Trump, who brags about his test and makes your mental state?
Let's watch this again.
Vice President, your opponent in this election, President Trump, has made your mental state a campaign topic. And when asked in June if you'd been tested for cognitive decline, you've responded that you're constantly tested in effect because you're in situations like this on the campaign trail. But please clarify specifically, have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not. What do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say to President Trump, who bragged?
Oh my goodness. What an absolute psycho. I don't understand how he ended up with this man as a candidate. You know, it starts with his, come on, man. And then he says it's like me calling you, this black reporter, oh, or, you know, taking a cocaine test. Are you a junkie? Who says these things? And you can tell he got really riled up by the question itself. You can tell he doesn't like people to question his cognitive ability. So he really hit back at this journalist. And what kind of scares me in a way is you can see, you know, Joe Biden's anger, even though he tries to hide it under a smile. He's done that with supporters or people he ran into on the campaign trail. What did he say? That there have been a couple times where he threatened to fight some guy, and then he called some guy fat. There've been plenty of really weird, bad moments of Joe Biden on the campaign trail, but hidden kind of underneath that, which doesn't often get reported by the media, is an anger, a weird anger. He, I think it was in Michigan, got in a worker's face and just was real vicious and angry at this guy for asking him a question. So that's what stands out to me from that. But again, on what planet is it okay for the Democratic nominee and potentially next president to attack a reporter and say something really racist and really, really gross to this reporter simply because he was asked if he's been taking cognitive tests, which he previously said he was. He previously said that he is constantly tested. I think that was back in July. And no question about it, the Trump team is on top of it. They already have a video out about this incident of Joe Biden lying about having a cognitive test. Which is it, Joe? Do you take cognitive tests regularly, or do you not? I think, I think anyone who is running for the presidency, anyone who's running for office should have to take a cognitive test. It should just be required, and it makes sense to, no matter the age, but especially when someone is older, and there is no question that cognitive decline is more likely to happen as someone ages. It's not something, against Joe Biden. It's just we've seen a pattern of what looks like cognitive decline in him. So for him to be so offended by this, I really think if I could get into his brain, I suspect I would find that he's aware of what's happening to him. He's aware of his own decline, but it makes him angry and he's trying to bury it and not pay attention to it. There have been times on the campaign trail where he couldn't recall Obama's name. He has had so many stumbles on the campaign trail. I make stumbles too, and people will point out when Joe Biden takes a while or stumbles over his words or whatever, and that's okay. We all do it. There's no one who speaks perfectly all the time. As I said, I certainly don't. I stumble over my words regularly, but there's a difference between that and, again, what looks like a cognitive decline. So let's take a look now at what the Trump team is up to based on that clip.
Have you been tested for some degree of cognitive decline?
I've been tested and I'm constantly tested.
Please clarify specifically, have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not. What do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say?
Have you been tested for...
And that's all the Trump campaign had to say, the Trump war room. That's all they had to do is put together Joe Biden's own words. There's nothing special going on in that ad. Nothing extra that they added. Joe Biden's words from back in July and Joe Biden's words now. And he said back then that he was tested regularly, no big deal. Okay, great. Now he's saying he's not tested, and he's acting offended that he was asked if he's tested. And he's calling this reporter, giving this what if, calling him a junkie. Biden supporters might get around that and say, no, he didn't actually call this reporter a junkie. You're twisting his words. No, he said it's like asking you before this program. And then he goes on to talk about cocaine and being a junkie. So, by the way, Joe Biden has no place to say that to anyone, especially offensively to a black reporter, because his son, Hunter, is a junkie. No one talks about Hunter. Hunter's a mess. Hunter's a real big mess. I won't get too much into him, but it's very interesting how the media kind of hides him. I guess you could say, Hunter's not really working on the campaign, but he was involved with some scandals of his own beyond being a junkie. There's a reason that the Trump team has gone after Hunter and Joe Biden. So, but the rest of the media is really, really not talking about it. I just find this gross. It's not surprising at all. It's not the end of the world. This isn't going to be the end of Joe Biden's campaign. At this point, people are willing to vote for a corpse over Donald Trump. Especially these normie Dems, they're willing to do anything to get Trump out of office. And even a lot of progressives are feeling that way too, as I will show you in a couple more tabs away. I will show you what Bernie and Bernie allies are doing and how they are pushing Joe Biden, which will upset a lot of people, of course. So the rest of what Politico says about this: Joe Biden rebuked a reporter who asked if the former vice president had taken a cognitive test, claiming that asking the question was similar to asking the interviewer if he was using cocaine. CBS correspondent Errol Barnett prompted the presumptive Democratic nominee to clarify if he had taken a test measuring his mental acuity, leading to a tense exchange. And I've shown you that clip a few times now. So a Biden campaign official told Politico it was a preposterous question deserving of a response that showed the absurdity of it all. Of course they're going to say that. Of course they're going to spin this in any way they can. Democratic National Committee Chairman Tom Perez also took aim at Barnett's line of questioning. That's a stupid question, with all due respect, Perez told MSNBC on Wednesday afternoon. So, for all the people who are saying that this was a stupid question or that this was a bad question or an egregious question, were you saying the same thing about the stuff that Donald Trump regularly says and the insults he regularly spouts? No, of course not. It's only because this is Joe Biden that these Democrats don't care and think it's a non-issue and are spinning this a certain way, which is to be expected by this camp, this group. Biden has long bristled at claims that he is mentally slowing. President Donald Trump's re-election campaign is prioritizing Biden's cognitive ability as a key issue, aiming to portray Biden as doddering and incompetent. At a press conference in late June, so this is talking about that when he was constantly tested, so excuse me for saying July earlier, it was June. And Biden also said back then, "I can hardly wait to compare my cognitive capability to the cognitive capability of the man I'm running against." Which, if you think about that, this is the sad state we're in. We have two men competing for the presidency, neither of which appear to be cognitively capable of running the country. That's not great. Not great at all. Joe Biden was looking forward to testing his cognitive ability to Trump's. This shouldn't even be a thing. This shows you the lack of democracy we have in this country. It is not democracy that Joe Biden is the nominee. That was orchestrated by the establishment Dems. And it's not democracy that Trump is president and that he's in the position he's in to potentially win again. It's not democracy. Abolish the Electoral College, in my opinion. Hillary did win the popular vote. That is the true wishes of the people. I mean, of course, even a lot of the people who voted for Hillary didn't want her, but that's a story for another day. We're constantly left with these terrible choices. In an interview segment released on Wednesday, Biden again went after Trump. Well, if he can't figure out the difference between an elephant and a lion, I don't know what the hell he is talking about, Biden said, referencing questions on Trump's reported cognitive test. One second here. That made headlines during a July interview with Chris Wallace of Fox News. Biden, who is 77, would be the oldest person to assume the presidency on Inauguration Day if he is elected, beating Trump, 74, who is the current record holder. A June Politico Morning Consult poll found voters largely viewed Trump and Biden's health the same, with slightly more voters responding the Republican was in poor health. Oh my goodness. This is unbelievable. This is what we're left with? Two people trying to figure out if either have cognitive ability to run the country, voters not thinking either has the cognitive ability to run the country. It's really, really sad. Of course, we can't leave out President Trump's really, really disastrous interview with Axios earlier. I haven't reported on that at all, really. It's been reported so much, like I don't feel the need to report on it, but I am going to pull out one specific segment of that disastrous interview where Trump, this isn't the part I'm going to talk about, but Trump reveals he basically knows nothing about charts and graphs. He knows nothing about the coronavirus, and he's just an incompetent, doddering, dangerous person who needs to be out of office. So watch that interview, the Axios interview with Jonathan Swan, if you get the chance. But I will dive into just a little bit of that. So before I go into who Biden might potentially pick as VP, let me check in on you guys in the chat. Keep those super chats coming. They help us keep reporting. They help us so much. Smash the like button if you haven't already, and share the stream on all your social channels. And that just helps us, spreads the word. We're really trying to get to 100,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So you spreading the word is very helpful. If you are not subscribed yet, please subscribe. And tell your friends and family to subscribe. Have your cats and dogs subscribe, everything. So let's get into super chats. I love these super chats. They are so energizing. As I said, I did a 2-hour live stream earlier today, so it makes me feel really good and more pumped up when I get some super chats. Seth Peterson, $20 in the super chat. There are very few outlets that I trust, and TYT, home of the Fogressives, isn't one of them. I don't blame you. Your in the field reporting and passion for getting everyday people's stories set you apart. Thank you, Seth. You are always so kind, so wonderful, a huge part of the Status community. Just incredible. Thank you so much. Seth Peterson, another $15 in the super chat. Infuriating that your channel is not reaching the masses the way it should. Wish there was a better platform than YouTube. I totally agree. It's really discouraging and depressing. There seems to be no rhyme or reason to when we get 500 viewers versus when we get 200 or 300. There seems to be no rhyme or reason to any of it. So we never know. We're just doing everything we can do to kind of get more subscribers, to encourage people, to kind of boost the algorithms by commenting, by liking, by sharing. And yeah, we try to get around it by the suppression by having our text list, which you can text COUP to 370-370, so you get our text whenever we're live. So we're definitely, we're on Twitch, so you can watch there as well, twitch.tv/statuscoup. We're also on Periscope. You can, our Twitter account automatically tweets out the Periscope link at statuscoup. But great point, Seth. It is quite discouraging for sure. Scrolling, because I think I saw some more super chats, which is very, very much appreciated. Come on, man, send me a super chat. C.O. Snow, $4.99 in the super chat. Love you, Jen. Never stop using your voice. You rock. Thank you. You rock. I love all you guys. You're so, so sweet. Thank you, C.O. Snow. Still scrolling. Andy P, $5 super chat sticker. Thank you so much. You know how much I love those super chat stickers. You're a constant great support, Andy. I appreciate you so, so much. All right, let's get into the topic. The topic that seems to be dragging on forever. It seems like we have been talking about Joe Biden's potential VP pick for our entire lives. He's now delayed it by a week. I think that means Monday, but I need to double check. I mean, it could be any day, but he said, he's going to take another week to pick his VP. It's been a real up and down, kind of guessing game here with different people kind of in the forefront at different times. The only one we know is it's not going to be is Amy Klobuchar. So this is out of Axios. Biden confidants see VP choices narrowing to Harris and Rice, which you guys immediately know neither of those people are good choices. Neither are going to win votes. And in fact, they might take votes away from Joe Biden. Only the K-Hive is excited by Kamala. And I think there are they may not be real people behind a lot of those accounts. So at the actual ballot box, the K-Hive doesn't matter. And then we have Susan Rice, who made mistakes related to Benghazi. You know how the right wing is about Benghazi, and in a lot of ways, good. Benghazi was a disaster. But think back to 2016 and how Benghazi was a real thorn in Hillary Clinton's side in her race. Well, the Republicans are going to use, if Susan Rice is chosen, they're going to bring up Benghazi again and again and again. And other things that Susan Rice has done that's not so great. She's not a progressive hero. She's not someone that's going to bring any votes. No one's excited about Susan Rice. We all know Kamala Harris. Kamala is a cop. Cop Mala. There's no reason to choose Kamala Harris, except for identity politics. Both of these women are people of color. They check that box. They're women, which we know Joe Biden's choosing a woman, and they check the box of being people of color. So, but policy-wise, they bring nothing to the table. Controversy-wise, they detract from the ticket. The Republicans are going to have a field day if either of these women are chosen as VP. What a mess. So confidants of Joe Biden believe his choices for vice president have narrowed to Senator Kamala Harris and Susan Rice, and would be surprised if he picks anyone else. The state of play. This is a snapshot of the nearly unanimous read that we got from more than a dozen people close to him. Of course, it comes with a giant asterisk. Only Biden knows for sure, and the more insiders know, the less they say to reporters. He's not expected to announce his choice for another week or so. The Democratic convention begins August 17th, so that reality could certainly change. What's happening? The campaign is now in methodical mode as it finalizes vetting, looks at internal polling results on potential picks, and talks to finalists one-on-one. In third place is Representative Karen Bass, she of giving speeches at Scientology events, who had a faltering performance on the Sunday shows after revelations about her past views on Cuba and Scientology. The case for Harris. Biden's brain trust, Steve Ricchetti, Mike Donnellan, and Ted Kaufman, skew older and have deep and trusting relationships with many of the Obama and Clinton veterans who are advocating for Harris. It rests in part on her prosecutorial skills, which could help her attack the Trump administration with discipline. Yeah, it also, her prosecutorial skills were horrible, and even though she's a black woman, they were racist and completely awful. The case for Rice. Rice is getting a big bounce from Obama people who claim her presence on the ticket would guarantee the enthusiastic presence of both Barack and Michelle Obama on the campaign trail. Why does it take Susan Rice to get Obama and Michelle on the campaign trail? Shouldn't they do that anyway? That's a ridiculous reason. If the contest comes down to a popularity contest with Obama alumni, Rice has an edge, and Rice allies point to her White House experience. Her team acknowledges Republicans will trot out her early misstatements about the Benghazi attacks that were based on incomplete intelligence she'd been given, and she wants to defuse that by bringing it up herself. There are a lot of people who, even though Biden, Bernie dropped out, sadly, for a lot of people, I do know a lot of progressives who were kind of like, okay, so maybe we can get a progressive in the VP slot, knowing that it's a long shot, a real long shot, but maybe there's a chance. Maybe Biden would pick someone progressive since he's more conservative, and this is something AOC has said. She said, he's more on the conservative side, so she hoped that he would pick someone younger who's more progressive in that way so they can work together on implementing policies, which, is better than nothing. If Biden has to win, then having a progressive VP is better than not. It's a real sad test. But now the fact that the establishment, yet again, is screwing up the VP pick, according to these reports, is very discouraging. Not at all surprising, but discouraging. It still baffles me. I will never understand why Hillary Clinton picked Tim Kaine in 2016. Did not make any sense at all. There had to be some sort of deal happening in the background or whatever. It didn't make any sense for someone who wanted to win so badly. So now we have Biden making the same mistake. And it all comes down, again, to identity politics. He's not thinking about who's going to bring in votes, who's going to, challenge him and be someone he can really work with to get votes, to get the support of progressives and the way the Democratic Party, the way progressives are headed. He doesn't care about any of that. He only cares that they are women, that they are people of color. That's it. And that's really sad. Obviously, I would love to have a strong, like Nina Turner having a strong black woman as VP and eventually president. I would be overjoyed, just absolutely thrilled. So it comes down to policies, and these women don't have the policies. They are not progressive. They are so knee deep in the establishment. They're uninspiring. I really, it seems so simple. If you want to win, choose a good vice presidential candidate. If you want to lose, don't. If you want to lose, choose Kamala Harris or Susan Rice. Unbelievable. I don't get it at all. Check in on you guys. Hold on. Here we go. Wendy Millie, $10 in the super chat. Thank you so much. Love it. Love the super chat stickers. Super awesome. Anthony Martino, $5 in the super chat. Yes. Thank you, Anthony. You are so great. Jen, the word progressive from Latin, from the parts of pro, forward, and gress, to advance. A Latin word, progressus, a going forward and advance. I did not know that. Thank you. That's really, really good to know, and it makes sense. Let's see. Scrolling. Jacqueline DeBlue, £5 in the super chat with a super chat sticker. How cute! I love that. Hello, kitty cat. Absolutely great. These super chats make me happy. Keep them coming. The truth is they help us keep reporting. You can also support us by sharing, subscribing, liking this video, leaving comments on this video after it's done being uploaded when I sign off. And you can also become a member of Status Coup at statuscoup.com/join. In addition to supporting our reporting, our in-field and investigative reporting. You get great stuff like behind the scenes video diaries, behind the scenes in-field videos and photos, behind the scenes reporting, other bonus content, plus the monthly member calls. People love these monthly member calls. We have a great time, and you can ask us any question you want. We answer all your questions, and we have a great time, get to know each other. So if you are financially able, please join statuscoup.com/join. You can also support other people. You can also support other people joining by sponsoring memberships. Maybe you want to sponsor one person or two people or 5 people or 10 people or 100 people. You can simply email us at info@statuscoup.com, and I will send you a link that will set up the ability to sponsor memberships for those who are not financially able. So info@statuscoup.com. All right, back to the news now. Back to the news. Some more news on Joe Biden. And this is a disappointment to me. Not because I'm in any way excited about Joe Biden officially grabbing the Democratic nomination. I think back to the convention in 2016, and I was a volunteer, so I was able to be inside, and just the whole atmosphere, being among Bernie delegates and seeing them protest, like seeing what happened when they allegedly turned on fans so Bernie delegates couldn't be seen, when they would have seat fillers go in and steal the seats of Bernie delegates when Bernie delegates walked out, when Jill Stein was invited by Fox and was in the hallways of the convention. It was a good time, and there was a restaurant and bar on the grounds as well, so Bernie delegates would kind of convene there afterwards and getting to know people, and I loved it. It was like political Disneyland for me. So I'm personally disappointed that there isn't a real convention this year, because I just loved the last one. And actually, I said at the last one, my goal was, okay, by the time of the next convention, so 2020, where we are now, I'm going to be a journalist at the convention. So I achieved the goal of being a journalist. I am not going to achieve the goal of attending the convention as a journalist, because it's going to be all virtual now. And as of today, Joe Biden has announced that he will not be attending in person. He will be accepting the nomination and giving this speech from Delaware. So it's all going to be virtual now. The pandemic is certainly nothing to play around with, and I understand the decision for sure. But I have to admit that I have that personal sadness that it won't happen. So this is out of ABC News. Biden will no longer travel to DNC to accept Democratic nomination amid pandemic. Former Vice President Joe Biden and the rest of the planned convention speakers will not travel to Wisconsin for the quadrennial Democratic National Convention, according to a release from its committee Wednesday, citing health concerns with the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. So they talk about consulting with health officials and experts, and the fact that speakers will no longer travel to Milwaukee. Biden, who was scheduled to accept the party's nomination in the key battleground state on August 20th, will now accept the nomination from Delaware. In accordance with this guidance, Vice President Joe Biden will no longer travel to Milwaukee and will instead address the nation and accept the Democratic nomination from his home state of Delaware. Details about the location of the speech will be released at a later time. Other speakers who had been planning to come to Milwaukee will not travel to the city, the announcement continued. Less than 2 weeks out, the sudden changes to the convention, an event that historically takes years to plan and is the capstone of the party's nominating process that typically attracts thousands of supporters and party loyalists, has effectively been reduced to an entirely virtual affair. So it gives some more of the history of this particular convention, where it was supposed to be back in July but had to be moved because of the pandemic. So not much more to say about this. It's it's probably the best thing for Joe Biden because he can be like back in his basement accepting the nomination, and he can have his teleprompters and his safe space, and he can accept the nomination as he wishes, and his team can make sure that he doesn't have any embarrassing missteps. I don't want to be cynical, but maybe it's possible that part of the reason he's not going to be in Milwaukee is because of these missteps, of these potential missteps, is because he might say something weird or wrong. And I think his team is probably cheering from the mountaintops because Joe Biden doesn't have to be in front of thousands of people at the convention. I think they're so happy. I think, coronavirus is absolutely horrible. It might be the reason that Joe Biden becomes president of the United States. Now, I'm not at all convinced that Trump is out of the race. I think anything could happen. But the fact that Trump has bungled the coronavirus pandemic and has, in effect, killed 150,000 people is one of the reasons that people are not going to vote for Trump. The fact that Biden hasn't really had to be on the campaign trail for months, was able to broadcast from his basement under tightly controlled circumstances, that is great news for Biden. Because he certainly, as you saw in that interview earlier with the CBS reporter, it didn't go well. So the less Biden is on TV, the less Biden has to say or do, especially in the public, in front of the people of the public, is good for him. So sad for us, understandable due to the pandemic. No good news to come out of this. Good news for Biden, that's it. So let's see. Oh my goodness, super chat. Wow. Hold on one second, guys. Scrolling, make sure I don't miss anything. YouTube really needs to make it easier to find super chats. And if you let it go too long, the super chats completely disappear. Kelly Elaine, $50 in the super chat. Thank you, Kelly. You are a true hero. Always so wonderful, always so supportive. Kelly says, thanks for your coverage while Jordan and Anat are busy doing stuff. Yes, and Jordan will be back tomorrow, I think in time for the live stream. Otherwise, I'll be doing it, but I think he says he thinks he'll be back. So it'll be good. It'll be good for Jordan to get back into the swing of things, but both of them really needed a break. And of course, the exciting news that they are now engaged. It's so good. I'm so glad that Jordan and Anat got this time away. Absolutely wonderful. Oh, Fire Breathe and Rob asks when the hats are coming to the store. So Colin submitted a design, and then the hats are a totally different process. I think because they're embroidered than the rest of the products. So they have to go through this special design process and then this special approval process, and it got denied because of some text being the wrong size or something. So Colin's still working on it. My hope is next week, though. But that's a good reminder that you guys can grab Status Coup masks, beach towels, wall hangings, tote bags, phone coverings, all kinds of stuff, t-shirts, sweatshirts in the Status Coup store. I just put the link in there. Love these super chats. Keep them coming. Smash the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to this channel. Yes, it was taken in Maine, Chorkalupa. All right, so this next story I know is going to cause probably a lot of division in the chat. Some people might be on board with what Bernie and his allies are saying about the election or voting for Biden. Some people might think it's awful and horrible and call Bernie and these people sellouts. Other people might think it's okay and they understand. So I'll give you my thoughts and opinions. It's okay if we differ in opinion. It's okay if you differ in opinion from Bernie and these people. But I think look also at their history and the reason that they think this. So let's dive into it, even if it's controversial and in many ways disappointing. Get rid of Biden. All right, so this was on MSNBC on August 2nd. Many of you may have seen this before or already, but I want to set this up so you hear from Bernie's own mouth what he thinks about voting for Joe Biden and the fact that he believes the next 3 months are the most important in modern U.S. history.
Senator, let me ask you, there are a whole lot of people disappointed that you are not the presidential candidate, and maybe Joe Biden has a chance to get some of your supporters energized and enthused and motivated in his vice presidential pick. Who do you think it should be?
I'm not going to get into that. You know, picking a vice president is a little bit like getting married. That's a very personal decision. It has a lot to do with chemistry, and that's something that the vice president is going to have to decide all on his own. But this is what I will say. I think people who voted for me, people who support the progressive movement, understand that the next 3 months are maybe, Ali, the most important 3 months in the modern history of this country. And that all of us are going to have to come together and work in a way that we have never worked before to have the largest voter turnout in the history of this country, to make sure that all of the votes are counted, and that we send Donald Trump packing and elect Joe Biden. The future of American democracy is at stake. We have a president in the White House now who doesn't believe in science, and we are unnecessarily seeing thousands of people die as a result. So we have an economy, as you've just indicated, which is in tatters for working people while the billionaires have become richer. This is a moment for us to come together and to defeat Donald Trump, and I will do everything that I can to make that happen.
Okay, so there are words from Bernie, and of course, we all know that he dropped out because Donald Trump is such a threat, also because the Democratic establishment organized against him and made it impossible for him to continue running. But we know that his focus has been defeating Donald Trump. A lot of people disagree with that. They think he should come out fighting for his policies and not focus so much on Donald Trump. I definitely see that point of view. I've been disappointed with Bernie too. There have been times he kind of went dark after he dropped out for a while when people really needed him to be still out there speaking. On the other hand, he had been traveling nonstop since 2015 or even more, and either working for other candidates or doing his own campaign work for 2 different elections. He is an older guy. He was probably really disillusioned and discouraged. So I understand why he took that break and hasn't been out there fighting in a way that we've seen him before. I mean, he's made a lot of missteps in not fighting hard enough against Joe Biden, for example, and not discussing the negatives about Joe Biden's policies and past and history and votes and things like that. He could have been much stronger. But the point is, Bernie has been a fighter for the people. He always says, not me, us. So some people consider him a sellout because of him dropping out, because of his focus on defeating Trump no matter what. I don't see it that way at all. I think Bernie's heart is good. His policies are good. He has spent his life fighting for the people. He is the reason, if we eventually get Medicare for all, that it passed. And he's the reason why I'm a progressive. He's the reason why a lot of those candidates, Ilhan Omar and AOC, Rashida Talib, Cori Bush now, he's inspired so many people to run, so many real working class people to run. Some have won. And without Bernie, there is no squad. Without Bernie Sanders, thousands of us, or potentially millions of us, wouldn't be woken up like we are now. So we owe Bernie a lot. He, going back to the not me, us thing, it is up to us in a lot of ways to continue to fight for progressivism, but Bernie's not going anywhere. He's focused right now on defeating Donald Trump, rightly or not. And, well, obviously we need to get rid of Trump, but rightly or not, on the side of promoting or pushing Joe Biden. But he's, in my opinion, or prediction, he's going to go right back to fighting for those important policies that matter to us all. He's not going to just sit in the back seat and lie down and take naps now. He's going to keep fighting. But he is of the belief that these 3 months up to November matter so much that everybody must vote for Joe Biden. I'm not telling you how to vote. I have decided I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden. I'm going to write in Bernie Sanders as a protest because I live in Maryland. I live in a very, very blue state. If I lived in a swing state, yeah, a lot of you might get mad at me for this, but if I lived in a swing state, I would vote for Biden. I do think Trump is a much larger threat than Joe Biden. He's a threat in a way we've never seen before. So you guys vote how you want. Again, it's okay if we have a difference of opinion. It's okay to be mad at Bernie. And it's okay to be mad or upset or disappointed in what I'm about to tell you next. Sanders supporters launch 6-figure ad campaign explaining why they're voting for Biden. So this is out of The Hill, but there's also, it has its own website, and a lot of very, very prominent Bernie supporters and progressives are on this list, even people you would never expect to be on this list, who are voting for Biden and who are pushing for others to vote for Biden. A progressive group that opposed Joe Biden in the Democratic primaries is rolling out a new campaign to urge progressive voters in battleground states to back the presumptive presidential nominee in November. RootsAction.org, a group run by supporters of Bernie Sanders, launched its #VoteTrumpOut campaign Wednesday and said while it hopes to help push the former vice president over the edge against President Trump, it will work to hold him accountable should he win the White House. Donald Trump is waging a war on truth, on decency, on our planet, and on working people. For the sake of everything we care about, we have to get him out of the White House in 2020, the group said on its website. As progressives and leftists, we are not going to minimize our disagreements with Joe Biden, but we're also clear-eyed about where things stand. Supporting the Democratic nominee in swing states is the only means we have to defeat Trump. If Biden wins, we'll be at his door on day one, demanding the kinds of structural reforms that advance racial, economic, and environmental justice. But before that, it's clear what we have to do. This November, we have to vote Trump out in swing states. So to be clear, these activists and leftists and progressives are talking to people specifically in swing states. That's their target. Among the activists backing the new campaign are some of the progressive movement's most prominent members, including Professor Noam Chomsky, former Sanders surrogate Linda Sarsour, Medicare for All advocate Adi Barkan, Code Pink founder Medea Benjamin, and Representative Ro Khanna, who served as Sanders' campaign co-chair. The group is rolling out the new effort with a 6-figure ad buy. Its opening video features an over 2-minute clip of Chomsky underscoring the dangers he says climate change and Trump pose. So I will play that for you. The campaign comes after months of hitting Biden during the primary battle when Sanders was the former vice president's main opponent and the group called Biden's record abysmal. RootsAction.org now says Biden will be more open to its ideas should he be in the Oval Office. In messaging to persuade voters who dislike Biden's record to vote Biden in swing states, we've learned that it works well to characterize Biden as a far better opponent to be fighting against in the White House than the immovable Trump, RootsAction.org co-founder Norman Solomon told Politico, which was the first to report on the effort in reference to the group's testing of Facebook audiences. So let me know in the comments or in super chats what you think about this move. I don't know if I can make this bigger. Maybe I can open this. Here we go. So let me know in the comments or in super chats what you think about this group's effort, and let's watch the video.
Another 4 years of Trump may literally lead us to the stage where the survival of organized human society is deeply imperiled. The most important issue that humans have faced in their history is the impending catastrophic climate disaster.
According to a new report, experts say that we have until 2030 to avoid catastrophe.
Trump is the worst person in the world on this issue.
All of this with the global warming and that, a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax.
So we have a choice between trying to find a way to survive or ensuring disaster. That's just the beginning. The traditional left position is you don't vote for, you vote against. It doesn't matter how I feel. It doesn't matter whether you like Biden or not. That's your personal feelings. Irrelevant. Nobody cares about that. What they care about is what happens to the world. Have to get rid of Trump, keep pressure on Biden, just as Sanders and associates have been doing. Politics is activism, not taking 5 minutes to push a button. Look what's happening in the streets of the country. The greatest social movement that has ever developed, led by Black Lives Matter. Take Sunrise Movement, managed to put the Green New Deal on the legislative agenda. This generation is going to decide whether organized human society can survive. And the crucial part of this decision is to get rid of the major barrier to survival, which happens to be in the White House. Get rid of Trump, then we have opportunities.
Okay, so there you have it. Let me take you over to, let me take you over to their website, votetrumpout.org. You can see their video there. They give explanation of what they're doing and what their goals are. They have an opportunity to, sign a pledge to vote Trump out in swing states. And they have, national endorsers. Here's the list. As mentioned in the previous article, Adi Barkan, organizer with the Center for Popular Democracy Action and the co-founder of the Be a Hero PAC. Medea Benjamin, the co-founder of the woman-led peace group Code Pink and the co-founder of the human rights group Global Exchange. I've interviewed Medea and met her. She's local to DC, and honestly, this one surprised me. She's very badass and very hardcore, very progressive, very against imperialism, fighting constantly. Code Pink does incredible work, incredible activism and protesting. So I don't know. It surprised me. I'm not judging it that she's on this list. It simply surprised me. Leslie Kagan, a veteran peace and justice organizer, Noam Chomsky, which was not a surprise that he was on this list because he's come out as being on the side of voting for Biden anyway, is a world-renowned linguist, public intellectual, and University of Arizona laureate professor. Marjorie Cohn, Roseanne DeMoro. This is another one that I think will have some impact with some Bernie supporters. Roseanne was hardcore for Bernie. She's been such a great surrogate, very progressive. National Nurses United. She's really, really sweetheart, a real sweetheart too. So she is the former executive director of National Nurses United and a former national VP and executive board member of the AFL-CIO. Barbara Ehrenreich, Daniel Ellsberg, who was the journalist who released the Pentagon Papers. Really, really cool guy. Bill Fletcher Jr., Jim Hightower, Ro Khanna, Bill McKibben, big Bernie guy too. Annabelle Park, Linda Sarsour. I never say her name right. I wish. I will definitely look into the pronunciation. You all know her as a great activist. Winnie Wong was one of the people to start People for Bernie, and Jim Zogby as well. So a lot of people that we know and respect. So I'm curious. I want to know what you guys think about what we just talked about. What do you think about the push for swing state voters to vote for Biden. Would love to know your thoughts. I've told you my thoughts. If I lived in a swing state, I would vote for Biden, but I don't. I live in a blue state, so I'm going to write in Bernie Sanders. I see we had some super chats come in. Love, love, love the super chats. Scrolling to find them. Chester Williams, $5 in the super chat. Jen, this is disgusting. I mean, the scaremongering coming from progressives of all people. Scaremongering reeks of a social experiment gone awry. I can definitely see your point. There is a lot of scaremongering, like the earth is, we only have until 2030, perhaps less time to deal with climate change and to start making major progress to, stop or, make it less likely or give us a longer amount of time so climate change doesn't affect us. It already is affecting us, but so it's not a total catastrophe for the entire planet. So I think that people like Noam Chomsky, who you saw talking a lot about climate change and how dangerous Trump is, there are pet issues that are so important to them. We all see how dangerous and awful Trump is, but someone like Noam Chomsky sees the writing on the wall that climate change is a huge issue and needs to be addressed now. So if we have Trump in office for another 4 years, it doesn't get addressed and is made much worse. So to Noam Chomsky, this is an issue of literally of saving the world. So when you look at it in terms of that, you can hopefully understand why he has that point of view. I don't expect everyone to have that point of view. I'm not even sure where I stand exactly on it. Obviously, I care very much about doing things to take care of our planet and make sure we have a planet. But they're seeing it, like Noam Chomsky seeing it in all or nothing terms. Like, Trump needs to go. That's the way Bernie sees it too. Trump needs to go. That's the main focus. So as I said, I was surprised by some of the names on that list. You were probably surprised by some of the names on that list. But that is how dangerous these people view Donald Trump to be. So you talking about the scaremongering coming from progressives, is it really scaremongering or is it spoken from a place of truth? Like, scaremongering I think of as trying to scare people into like getting what you want. Whereas I think that all of the people on the list that are progressives and Bernie supporters do truly feel that the world and the people in it are in danger, not just because of climate change, but because Trump is so dangerous overall. So I don't think it's scaremongering, at least I wouldn't categorize it as that. As far as it being a social experiment, I feel like 2020 is just one giant, terrible social experiment. So I definitely get that. Anthony Martino, $5 in the super chat. Gay waiter Paul will save us all. Vote Gay waiter Paul 2020 for president. I've interacted a little bit with Gay waiter Paul. He's very cool, and I think he's pretty down on his luck right now. Scrolling. I think I saw another one. Maybe I didn't. I bet I saw one in. Oh, I did. Okay. David Maisel in the super chat, $5. I have not heard an argument for why I should vote for Biden. Well, that's very true, and I think that's on purpose. I think they purposely are focusing on Orange Man bad, get rid of Trump. And as they said in the ad, in Noam Chomsky's words, he said, you don't have to like Biden. That's totally fine. This isn't about Biden. This is about eliminating Trump. So to be fair or forward, I think an argument for why you should vote for Biden, it just doesn't exist for progressives. It's a non-starter. He's not a progressive. His policies are terrible. His history is terrible. His record is really bad. He's potentially in cognitive decline. Like, there is no good reason to vote for Biden. But for some people, like the people on that list, there are a lot of reasons to vote against Trump, which a lot of progressives are not going to accept. People are tired of voting against a candidate rather than for a candidate that they're truly for. So I get both of it. Riley says, Jen, just wait. They will still blame you when Trump wins blue states by a landslide. No, that's true. They blame Bernie supporters for absolutely everything. Henry says, I want to thank the people in Status Coup live stream chats for making me realize a write-in vote is now a totally viable option for me. Yeah, as I said, I'm going to write in Bernie. And in 2016, I voted for Jill Stein, and my husband wrote in Bernie. So it's definitely, it's good. I think it's good if in my opinion, because I'm in a safe state. If I was in a swing state, I already told you what I'd do. But I'm not telling you what you need to do. Linear Bob says, Jen, as far as I am concerned, I am voting against Trump. The most efficient way to get rid of King Donald is to elect Uncle Joe. But believe me, Uncle Joe is not my choice. And Bob, I think a lot of people agree with you on that. And I think that's a totally valid way to go about it. And what Roots Action is saying is, you know, once we've eliminated the threat and the danger of Donald Trump, we're going to continue to push progressive policies. Maybe Joe Biden is a little bit movable and malleable. Maybe he will concede to things like Medicare for all. I think that's a total long shot, but maybe, you know, it could happen. At least that's what these people are thinking. So, again, a valid choice. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. Andre Schwartz says, wouldn't it be wiser to vote for a policy and not a person? Yeah. I think a lot of people who are planning to vote for Biden in swing states would agree with you, but they feel like Trump is such a threat that this time is different. Like, it's not like we're up against, you know, a John Kasich or something like that, where people would probably then feel safer to vote for the person that they want. This is Trump, and right or wrong, people view him as a singular threat that's different from every other Republican. So they're willing to vote against him. So a lot of interesting thoughts. Keep it coming. Smash the like button so more people see this. Share it on all your social media. Grab your Status Coup gear. Someone yesterday was telling me they want to order sweatpants and a t-shirt. So you can order anything you want. I recommend the Status Coup mask, which is very, very cool. Also, you can, in addition to super chats, if you don't want to leave a super chat, you can definitely support our reporting through our GoFundMe. I just put the link in the chat. Moving right along here. As you guys know, I've been doing a lot of reporting on Ghislaine Maxwell and the Epstein documents, the Ghislaine documents, and everything that's happening right now. The last update I gave you was that the judge ruled that Ghislaine Maxwell's team has an additional, essentially 2 months to put in their appeal, which is ridiculous. She doesn't need 2 additional months, but she has it. So now, at the very earliest, is we'll get Ghislaine's testimony and the additional documents in late September. Very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. But Trump continues to be Trump. And I don't, you know, a lot of his supporters and these QAnon people and the people in his cult are very adamantly against sex trafficking, child sex trafficking in particular, pedophiles, as we all should be. We're all against that stuff, of course. But they've formed, you know, QAnon is based on eliminating elite corruption and especially pedophilia, which they believe is incredibly rampant in our government, etc. QAnon people are crazy, and it's catching on more and more, and that terrifies me. So why doesn't Trump, knowing that his supporters are completely against Jeffrey Epstein, are completely against Ghislaine Maxwell, think they're entirely guilty, why is Trump doubling down? You heard before, he wished Ghislaine Maxwell luck. That was in a press conference not too long ago. He's done it again. He's wishing Ghislaine Maxwell luck again. What is wrong with this man? None of us know the answer to that question. This is out of Vanity Fair. Why can't Donald Trump stop wishing Ghislaine Maxwell well? In a new interview, the president doubled down and further contorted his remarks from 2 weeks ago. In an interview with Axios on HBO that aired Monday night, Donald Trump was asked why he wished Ghislaine Maxwell well during a coronavirus briefing 2 weeks ago. The British socialite and alleged Jeffrey Epstein accomplice pleaded not guilty to charges of perjury and trafficking minors in Epstein's sex abuse ring, and she is being held without bail at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. She and Trump have been photographed together over their years of traveling in the same New York and Palm Beach social circles, and Epstein and Trump's long relationship is well documented. Well, first of all, you don't know that, Trump said about the allegations against Maxwell, who once dated Epstein. Her friend or boyfriend was either killed or committed suicide, Trump continued. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. It is interesting that he admits that Jeffrey Epstein potentially didn't commit suicide, that he may have been killed. But the rest of it is obviously just disturbing and weird, and why is he doubling down on this? The idea that Epstein didn't kill himself has appeared just about everywhere, besides official accounts. New York City's medical examiner ruled his death a suicide, and Trump's Attorney General, Bill Barr, called it one as well. But Trump suggested that it remains an open question, telling Axios her boyfriend died in jail and people are still trying to figure it out. How did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. All told, this was a third attempt at publicly explaining Trump's views on Epstein and Maxwell following her arrest last month. None more convincing than the one before. After the president's remarks at the briefing, what the president was noting is that the last person who was charged in this case ended up dead in a jail cell, and the president wants justice to be served for the victims in this case, and he prefers this to play out in a courtroom. Kayleigh McEnany, you might have surpassed Sean Spicer in the art of spinning absolutely everything. To arrive at that conclusion is just baffling, that he's doing it for the good of the victims, and that he simply doesn't want Ghislaine to end up dead so that the victims can have justice. What a good guy. Except that's not what he means at all. Nobody knows what Trump means. Nobody knows why Trump is saying this. You can sure bet that his team was in agony over Trump doubling down on this. It literally, it makes no sense at all why he would say anything positive at all about Ghislaine Maxwell. I could see him maybe privately wishing her well. Trump was in those circles for a long time. He was friends with Epstein. A lot of very wealthy elite people were, and Trump was very much in that world. So yeah, maybe he still has some fondness for Ghislaine. Maybe he just personally doesn't want to see anyone in the elite circles go down. But to publicly say it and say it again, it doesn't make any sense. That his supporters will, latch onto what Kayleigh said, or make up their own reasons. Say it's like 9-dimensional chess, and say Trump is saying this to confuse the bad people, to take the predators down. He has a plan. They'll excuse it as they excuse everything for their leader of this Trump cult. It doesn't make any sense. It's highly disturbing. It's disrespectful to the victims, and it's disrespectful to the fact that these victims deserve justice. So the Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell cases continue to be disturbing, and now our president is piling on top of that. We also have some additional accusations against Prince Andrew. As you probably know, and I've reported on this, that Prince Andrew is in these documents, is accused in these documents by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who says that she was forced to have sex with Prince Andrew, and in fact is in a photograph with Ghislaine and Prince Andrew. So this is disturbing. Obviously, all of it's disturbing, but this is super weird. Even it goes into an even weirder place with Prince Andrew. Again, out of Vanity Fair, Prince Andrew allegedly used a puppet of himself to grope victims at Jeffrey Epstein's home. The allegations were detailed in Virginia Roberts Giuffre's unpublished manuscript, which was part of a trove of recently unsealed court documents. In the manuscript for Virginia Roberts Giuffre's unpublished book, The Billionaire Playboys Club, The Mirror, which is a UK paper, reports that the Jeffrey Epstein accuser wrote about Prince Andrew allegedly using a puppet of himself to grope her and another victim. According to the Mirror's report, Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell gifted Andrew his own caricature puppet from the satirical 80s British TV show Spitting Image in April 2001. In Giuffre's manuscript, which was released by New York Judge Loretta Prescott last week as part of a large batch of unsealed documents from a now settled civil defamation case between Giuffre and Maxwell, she writes that she met Andrew around that time in the first floor study of Epstein's Manhattan home, and he looked me up and down like a shiny new car on display, and he was about to take it for a test drive. It was easy to give them the reaction they desired. All I had to do was pretend to be entertained by their lewd gestures, and when Andrew cupped my breast with a doll made in his image, I only giggled away, she continued. Ghislaine wanted to take a picture of the bizarre scene and even got Joanna, another one of Jeffrey's so-called personal assistants, to come sit on his other knee for the snapshot. After many crude jokes, Giuffre then claimed she was ordered to take the prince to the dungeon for an erotic massage. Joberg, which is Joanna, previously testified to this incident in a 2016 deposition in Giuffre's case against Maxwell, saying under oath, per the Mirror, "I sat on Andrew's lap, they took the puppet's hand and put it on Virginia's breast, and so Andrew put his on mine." Giuffre previously claimed she had sex with Prince Andrew 3 times as a teen, allegations he has categorically denied. He has yet to respond to these most recent revelations. These people are completely sick freaks and deviants. They were allegedly sexually abusing, raping young girls. And that's exactly what Virginia Roberts Giuffre is saying, that she was assaulted or forced to have sex with Prince Andrew as a teenager. So when you add on top of that he had this weird puppet made in his own image, and he was using it to assault Virginia Roberts Giuffre and Joanna even more, it adds insult to injury. That's so depraved. And the fact that Virginia Roberts Giuffre felt so trapped that she had to giggle along with it and play their game, that happens to a lot of victims, where they feel like they have to play along to make their rapist or assaulter feel okay, like to make the situation okay, because they're worried that more things will happen to them, that they will be the person assaulting them or abusing them will become violent. So they learn to play the game to keep everything kind of calm and everything okay. And it just breaks my heart that Prince Andrew, he's now retired out of public life, and the royal family has a lot of resources, a lot of pull throughout the world. So who knows if Prince Andrew will be brought to justice. But we now have 2 corroborating statements that this incident did happen, that these assaults did happen. So there's a lot more out there about Prince Andrew and other people. So hopefully the additional documents will come out at the end of next month. That's what we have to hope for. More information needs to come out. And I think there's a reason why Ghislaine is fighting against these documents coming out. I think there's something in there that she really, really doesn't want us to know or to learn. So this case is so sad, and the more we learn, the more disgusting it is. And the thing about it is there are more Epsteins out there in the world. There are, sex trafficking rings that are not uncovered yet. There are elite people in this world who do assault and traffic young girls, young boys. So I think getting justice in these cases for these victims would go a long way towards getting more public awareness on the issue of child sex trafficking in particular. Very, very sad, very difficult thing to cover as well. Oh, super chats. I love looking back on the chat and seeing some super chats. Scroll. Jacqueline DeBlue, 20 pounds in the super chat. You are so sweet, Jacqueline. You just make me so happy. This is just to say bye for now, as my daughter is literally dragging me out for a stroll under the stars. Poetic license, of course. No such thing in a London sky. Bon nuit. Thank you, Jacqueline. I hope you have a really nice walk, and that's really sweet that your daughter wants to go for a walk with you, and I'm sure it'll be so sweet and so fun. You have a good night, too. Very, very, very sweet. I'm going to, I'll answer some questions as I've been doing, but I'm gonna stop the stream in a little bit, in a few minutes. So if you have any last super chats you wanna get in, if you have any questions for me, now's the time. So ask me anything you like. Ask me any questions. So people are asking about the pronunciation of Ghislaine. I was saying it Ghislaine for a very long time, but I looked up the pronunciation from a few different sources of how to actually say it, because I was getting some comments about it. And what I learned is the most common way to say it, I think in France, is Ghislaine. So I don't know if Ghislaine actually, this Ghislaine actually says Ghislaine or Ghislaine, but I'm going to go with Ghislaine until I hear otherwise. And someone asked, isn't it pronounced Ghislaine? A lot of people love to say that because, it's with dark things like this, I completely understand the desire to joke and make light of something as silly as her name. And it really, calling her Ghislaine makes a lot of sense, to be fair. So but it's not pronounced that way. Let's see. Anthony Valenti brings up priests not getting married, church movies, the pedophiles. That's something I really want to look into, is priests and pastors and sexual abuse in the church, because I think it happens a heck of a lot more, not just with the Catholic denomination, but with other denominations as well, evangelicals and Mormons and so on. So I definitely want to dive into that, because just because they're priests or pastors doesn't mean they should be able to get away with such horrible deeds. Golden Silence says, Jen, a U.S. diplomat penned down in the New York Times how he was involved in human trafficking. I'd love to have that link, Golden Silence, if you can email me at info@statuscoup.com. Any more questions? Any more comments? Reminder to grab your Status Coup swag, t-shirts, tote bags. Andy says, I know an Australian Ghislaine that pronounces it with the S. Interesting. Yeah, so I don't know how this Ghislaine pronounces it. Yeah, I don't know. Andy also says, sorry to correct you, Jen, but there are some who pronounce it that way. Not making fun. No, of course I didn't think you were making fun, for sure. Yeah, it's a mystery to me. Maybe I'll I don't know. Maybe I'll dig more into it and see how this one pronounces it. I have no idea. Also consider joining Status Coup as a member. Get great behind the scenes content and video diaries and member calls. We have so much fun. And you can also sponsor new members who are not able to afford their own membership by writing me at info@statuscoup.com, and you can sponsor as many or as few members as you want. info@statuscoup.com. So news is, I think Jordan should be back tomorrow to do the live stream. So otherwise I'll be doing it, but he has to take the car back to his mom, so then he has to rush back to the city. So it's kind of up in the air, but he should be back. So we'll give a warm welcome to Jordan. If you still want to write him a happy engagement message, you can email info@statuscoup.com and send him your well wishes. Chester asks, still also doing the GoFundMe? Also, where's Jordan? Wasn't here early on in case you missed it. Yes, we are still doing the GoFundMe. And actually, we had a wonderful Stephen T donate $100 today. Just so nice. Anyone who wants to help out, help fund our reporting, our investigative and infield reporting, can support us at that GoFundMe link. It really does help us. And we do have a goal that we're inching towards. Let's see. Anthony Martino, Jen sent some love to Paul Sorrentino on Twitter, dealing with mental health. Also help so many peeps in New York City find advocacy groups. Oh, okay. Yeah, I will. My heart goes out to anyone who's dealing with mental health issues and struggles, because I certainly do struggle with those things too. So I very much want to help in any way I can with anyone who is struggling. So I love you all. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Join as a member or sponsor a member. You will be a total hero either way. Get some Status Coup swag, especially a Status Coup mask, and support our GoFundMe if you can. So until next time, I will say goodbye for now. Thank you all for joining in.